Okay, I think we are going to get started. Is this your
Yeah, let me get your
first
slide.
slide?
Well, this is the slide that you talk on, right? So it's 3:30. Let's go ahead and get started.
Thank you. I'm thanking my presenter here. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marlene Fong, and I work in the Instruction and Professional Development Department of CTA, and we are the sponsors of the webinars for this week and next week. So we welcome everyone here. My colleague, Brian Guerrero, who is our newest colleague from Region 3, is also on this webinar. We're both going to be monitoring your chats and your Q&As. We do have an overflow room. That means that as soon as the count in this webinar gets to 1,000, we will then put everyone else into an overflow room um, so that you're able to listen and hear the webinar. You may not be able to see it, but you're going to hear it. And it's also going to be recorded. So today's webinar is on the pedagogy of distance learning. And our presenter is a teacher from Temecula. Her name is Kristen Morales, and she is also a computer users educators on their board, correct, Kristen?
I'm on their conference planning committee. I'm also a Q Rockstar presenter. So I do a lot of presentations with Q, but all of that started with CTA, with Instructional Leadership Core. I mean, that's like near and
Right.
dear to my heart, right? Um,
Okay, so before we have her get started, I'm putting in a plug as what you see in the slide before you, a plug for schools and communities first. And it's all about securing more funding for education by taxing the people who are in the upper income brackets that are over a million and billions of dollars in income that they're earning and not getting taxed at a level where it should be. And it's to fix that problem so that more money could be directed to education. So as you can see on the bottom of your screen, you will be able to chat and talk to each other, which is a good way of sharing information. And then there's a Q&A box where you could ask questions, and Kristen will be addressing some of those questions at the end of the presentation. So Kristen, are you ready to rock everyone?
I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right, let's go.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get started. And as Marlene said, I'm going to save my questions for the end because I have a lot of great tools to share with you. I keep putting in the chat the link to the slideshow presentation, which is bit.ly/Morales formative. And I am going to want you to open up that slideshow. So if you can just click on it in the chat, or just type it in directly into your browser, bit.ly/Morales formative. Because part of what I'm going to have you guys do is engage with the online tools as a student so that you can experience that as a student, and then talk about how you would use the teacher dashboard and all the features as a teacher in your class. So important that you get on the slide deck. There's the link. Just click on it in the chat and it'll open up a slide deck that will have all the links that you need to participate. And I'm going to go ahead and answer all the questions at the end so I can go ahead and get started. And there's the link again. Okie dokie. So let's go ahead and get started. And the first tool I'm going to be talking about, let me just go back to this first one. Quizzes, Edpuzzle, and Socrative, those are all formative assessment tools. And I'm going to talk about each one of them and then give you a couple more gems at the end that you can use for formative assessment. So the first one I'm going to talk about is quizzes. I absolutely adore quizzes and use it all the time. I've been using it for years, not just for distance learning. So it's a tool you can use in person or online. You're going to really like it. So to go ahead and get started, I'm going to show you guys this little introductory video. So here is the video.
Quizzes helps teachers save time. Here's how it works. First, create a new quiz or mix and match millions of teacher-created questions. Next, students play at their own pace, in class or at home. Every learner competes to improve, and retakes are a cinch. While students play, Quizzes handles the grading. Instantly, you see what each student has mastered, know where they can improve, and share their progress with tools like Google Classroom. Find a quiz now. It's free.
Yeah, so there's a little overview. Quizzes is a free tool that literally has thousands of pre-made quizzes made by teachers from all over the country in all different grade levels and subjects. So it's really easy to find a quiz that, you know, if you are learning linear equations or cell biology or counting money in elementary school, there's topics for all grade levels. And it's very easy to find a pre-made quiz that you might like or edit and add in your own questions, or you could start one from scratch and make it yourself. Um, so this is one we're going to do. And before I tell you about all the features that you would use as a teacher, I'm going to have you play as a student. So I'm going to do one that's really fun with superheroes. And I do suggest that the first time you use technology, whatever the tool is with your students, that you start with something fun like superheroes or dogs or your favorite animal, so that students can focus on learning the tool with before you start using the tool for content, right? I have this one. It's called Superheroes, PD Superheroes. Now, before I get started, I just want to tell you there are going to be 3 ways you can play quizzes. You can play it live, you can assign it as homework, or you can put it in practice mode, which creates flashcards for you. Now, during synchronous learning, when I was in the classroom live with students, we would play quizzes all the time. In fact, it was one of those things that students like begged me to do because it's super fun, right? And then when I went to distance learning in the spring, I started doing it during my synchronous Google Meets with my students. If you use Zoom, you could do it on Zoom. So I'm going to show you right now how to play it live. So you found the quiz and quizzes that you like, and you want to play it during a synchronous session with your students. What you're going to do is you just press this button that says play live, and then it's going to ask you to continue. There are a lot of settings that you could pick. I just leave it as is, but there's all kinds of things, you know, that you can say or and choose and set it up. But I just keep it in classic mode and just play it as is. All right, so let's continue. And this is what I do. I pull it up on my screen and I say, everybody, open up a new tab and go to joinmyquiz.com. And that's what I want you guys to do because you're the student now. So go to joinmyquiz.com and put in the game code 834967, right? Joinmyquiz.com, use the code 834967. So notice as people are coming in, and I'm going to give it a minute. I've never played quizzes with 800 people before, so I sure hope this works. I normally do it with my students of 40, and I've done it in big groups. But you can see over here the numbers going up. So if you have a classroom of 30 and only 25 kids have gotten into the quizzes, you're like, come on, I need 5 more people. I want 5 more people to come in. And they just start coming in. It gives you an avatar. So you have like a little character that's associated with your name. And I always tell students when they play for me that I want their first name and last initial, right? I tell them that because some kids will put in funny names. Some, I teach high school, some will put inappropriate names. And I tell them I want their first name and last name so that I can track their work, right? I need to be able to grade it, and I need their name because there's going to be a grade report that comes over there. So I'm just waiting for a few more people to come in, right? And one thing I want to say is if a kid does put a name in there that is inappropriate, then what you would do is kick them out of the game, right? And again, here's the link to the slideshow. I think most people are in, so I'm going to go ahead and start the game. Oh, almost there. A few more. So a lot of people playing this game. Now, this is a game that is going to be for accuracy and speed. So it's not just fast, right? You got to, and let's go ahead and see how you're doing. I'm going to keep the leaderboard up. Let's go ahead and get started. Here's the game. Okay, so I'm looking at the game and it looks like I have a lot of people who are finished. And so I'm going to give it just one more minute for you to finish up, and then I'll show you what happens after the game is over. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end the game. And here we go. Look, we have Dirk, Sheila, and Kat. Great job to my top 3 players, right? And look at this mastery party. Everyone whose name is coming across the screen is getting recognized for their mastery work, right? So I love this part about quizzes. And if you want to give prizes to your top 3 people, you can. Thanks for bearing with me. I've never done that with 500 people. 500 people is the limit on there. Good news is none of us have classes of 500, only about 40 or less. But here's the thing with quizzes that I really love. You get the data, and after it's over, not only do you see your first, second, and third place winner, you get to see that mastery board, but then this comes up and you can see how your class did by each question. And what I do, I like to do this on Monday, almost like a pre-assessment before I even start teaching them. Like, what do you know? What prior knowledge do you have? Notice I didn't teach you guys about superheroes. That was your prior knowledge. And then as a teacher, I look at this and I say, hey, 96% of the class got question 1 right, but only 65% of the class got question 6 right. I also see question 2's below 70%. So me as a teacher, that's giving me immediate feedback on where my students are struggling. So it gives, I can go and look at question number 2 and question number 6. Those are my ones below 70%, and identify the standards so that I can design a quick intervention for tomorrow. Maybe that's tomorrow's warm up. Maybe that's a little mini lesson that you do. So rather than waiting till the end to know what your students know, let them play quizzes, identify the low scoring questions, and intervene on it the next day in class. And then after you intervene on it, let them play it again. Their scores are going to go way up. And then you can still continue intervening, let them play it again. After you see them play this 2 or 3 times, their scores are going to improve. And students love it. As for those of you who didn't get to see it, when you're playing quizzes, you get memes, you get power-ups, you get redemption questions, all those that gamified experiences that students love is in quizzes. So when I exit out of there, let's talk a little bit more about how you would get this or find quizzes. First of all, I have in my collections, I urge you guys to make collections. Those are little folders that you'll make for each of the classes that you teach. This one, I have my geometry folder for all of my geometry ones, one for pre-calc. I got my professional development ones. When I find quizzes that I like and I want to use, I save them in my collections, right? And so let's go back to my collection. We just played PD's Superheroes. Now I can say a few different things about this. First of all, maybe I want to get data on that. I can go to the reports. Here's all the reports of all the games I've played. I just completed PD's Superheroes. Now, right after the game ended, I had that kind of overview report, but if I click on reports, I can get more data, right? I can get player data. I can say what each student got and go down and look through my whole class and see how they did, right? I can go questions. Maybe I want to go question by question and just see how the class answered. Like on question 2, I can see the breakdown of the questions. And that might be an indicator for me as a teacher, like, hey, 22% of the class thought another name for Robin was Batman's sidekick, but that's not true. So maybe that's where I need to intervene tomorrow on the questions that they didn't do so great on. I have an overview. This kind of goes by student and by problem. So maybe you like looking at the data that way. You can also come over here and you can download an Excel spreadsheet. So all of that data is immediately available in all of those reports so that you can start analyzing where your students did well and where you need to intervene the next day in class. Right? Now, back to my collections, my library, I'm going to go back to my PD Superheroes. Now, we just played it live. You guys saw it's fun, right? You could do that during synchronous learning, but maybe you want to assign it as homework and do it as independent work, right? So you would go here and you would click assign as homework. Now, you can leave it open for as long as you want. And I started getting away from textbook homework. I started doing this kind of homework because it gave immediate feedback to students. I don't know if you guys noticed, but after you played, at the end, you could review all the questions and see which ones you got right and wrong. So that's more powerful to me than, closed problems in a math textbook where you don't know if you got them right or not, right? But back to homework. You can choose a date. Maybe I want this to stay open through August 10th. Maybe I want it to be open until 2:30. That's when school closes. And then I just go continue. Now, before I go continue, for those of you guys that use Google Classroom, you can connect this directly to your Google Classroom, right? So you would just go here where it says assign to a class. You choose select, and all of your Google Classrooms come up, right? And you can assign it to Google Classroom. And when you assign it this way, it shows up directly into your Google Classroom. It puts it right in your Google Classroom. So now that's an assignment in Google Classroom, and all of the scores that your students are getting are going to populate in Google Classroom. You will not need to manually enter anything. It's going to auto-populate for you, which is fabulous, right? And the thing about too, when I assign it this way, or if I don't have a Google Classroom, I could just get the advanced settings, and I could come over here to my advanced settings, and I could get a link for that, right? And assign it as a link. But then I press continue, and there's the link. So if you're not using Google Classroom, or if you just want to put it in Canvas, Schoology, or just give them the link, you can copy the link right there and post that link in any of your LMSs. So now you have the opportunities for students to take that over and over again. And as they take it over and over again and get better, the improved score will show up in your Google Classroom grade book. So that is absolutely fabulous, right? Now let's go back and look at my collections again. Let's go back over to that PD superheroes. What if you don't want to grade it? You just want to have them play and kind of do it as flashcards. You can assign it as solo practice. And when you do solo practice, you can share a practice link, or you can just play it, and it creates flashcards, right? So you'd have the flashcards to show your students, right? Flashcards. So maybe you can use this for flashcards, and it comes over, you can flip it over, say, okay, I got it. Okay, who's this? Flip it over, get the answer. So there's another way you can use this. Maybe you play it, kids don't do so great. You give them the flashcards, they study, and then you take it again on Friday. Lots of things you can do with quizzes. The other thing I want to show you guys about quizzes is all of, here, I'm going to move this over, so right there. These are in the slideshow. I talk about too, all of the things that I was just talking about: playing live, assigning it as a homework, doing solo practice. And let me show you one more thing with quizzes. So what if you want a different game, not superheroes? You just go to search, and let's say I want to search up something that has to do with chemistry. Okay, I teach chemistry. Oh, look at all these chemistry quizzes that come up. Now, as you hover over all of these ones that appear, it shows you over here on the right, like the kind of questions. So maybe I'm thinking, oh, I like those questions, right? Or maybe I like this one. So you find one that you want to use, you click on it, and you can play it right away. If it's perfect, ready to go, just play it like we did. But what I do is I find ones that are pre-made, but then I edit them. So you can go into here to edit, and it immediately creates a copy for you to edit. Then you can click on the question and edit it right here. And you can change the questions, change the correct answer. And one thing you want to look at too is down here where it says the time. You might want to, change it from 30 seconds maybe to 60 seconds, or maybe you want to change it to, 2 minutes, right? You can also, what's really cool, what I do a lot with geometry is you can add pictures, right? Like you saw pictures of Superman, well, you can add a picture of a math problem. You can also include other media. So you can edit it for yourself. And as soon as you think you're done and ready to go, you've done all the edits that you like, you just say done. And then you can put it in one of your folders. I'm going to put it in my other folder, and it's ready for you to use at start of class. Okay, so there's some insight with quizzes. There's a quick snapshots of the different types of reports I explained to you. And I do want to say that that protocol that I told you about trying it out on Monday as a pre-assessment and continuing throughout the week, that actually comes from a book called Edu Protocol by John Carippo and Marlena Hebron. I told you I do a lot of work with Q, and John was the lead director at Q for many years. And I love this book. And the Fast and Curious protocol with quizzes is what I was telling you about. That's a protocol where you use it, you play it on Monday as a pre-assessment, just to see their prior knowledge, use the reports to get the data to figure out how to intervene on Tuesday and do some direct teaching to fill in the holes on the low scoring questions. On Wednesday, play it again. You're going to see an improvement. Then use those reports from Wednesday to identify weaknesses, reteach on Thursday, and then on Friday, play it again, make that be your quiz. And it's self-grading. And now students are like getting the chance to learn and improve along the way. So that comes from Edu Protocols. If you like, highly recommend that book. It's a lot of like templates that can be used for any subject, and it's routines, establishing routines that you do with your students. Okay, and just for you math teachers out there, I put this in there. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on math reps, but when you do the interventions, math reps are a great way to do that. My good friend Lisa created this math rep site that has tons of math reps for all different grade levels, and I contributed to the site. There's 5th grade, so these are like placemat templates that you just change the number of the day. Okay, so she started this in 5th grade because she was seeing that she would teach fractions and then decimals and then scientific notation, and then the kids weren't connecting that all those things are related. So it's a way to capture multiple standards on one template, and you change the number every day. So it establishes those routines. This is the one I created for her for geometry, where you just change the angle. And I did another one for pre-calculus. And like for pre-calculus, they were really learning how to get the unit circle, right? So if you're a math teacher, you might on those intervention days consider math reps. Okay, let's move on. I have a longer quizzes video tutorial. You guys all have the link to my slideshow. So if you want to watch that on your own, again, there's my slideshow. You can watch that. It's just a little bit more in depth for those of you that want to get started with quizzes. Okay, I told you there's going to be multiple formative assessment tools. Here's my next one, Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle, I love Edpuzzle because you can take any video from YouTube and turn it into a comprehensive check, like a little mini quiz, formative assessment for your students. This also integrates with Google Classroom, which means once you set up your Edpuzzle account, the scores go directly into Google Classroom. It also integrates with Canvas, like my school district adopted Canvas this year, and it auto grades in Canvas for me too. So lots of great things with Edpuzzle. I'm going to go ahead and have you guys watch this little quick introductory video about Edpuzzle.
Want to create amazing video lessons in minutes? Edpuzzle is your missing piece. With Edpuzzle, you can choose from the millions of videos available from YouTube, National Geographic, TED Talks, Khan Academy, and more. You can also reuse ready-to-go video lessons made by other teachers or upload your very own teaching video. Then use Edpuzzle's video editor to create your perfect lesson. Embed your own questions to check your students' understanding, cut sections to show your students only the most important parts of the video, and even record voiceover so you can explain concepts in your own words. Once you've finished, you can assign it to your students in just one click and prevent skipping to make sure your students don't miss a thing. When you want to check in on your students' progress, use Edpuzzle's hassle-free analytics to get all the information you need. See who still needs to watch the video, what your students responded, and their total scores. So remember, with Edpuzzle's free platform, you can make any video your lesson.
All right, so I really love Edpuzzle because it's a great way to show that students are watching the videos that you provide for them and insert questions. I like to pull videos from YouTube, but as you saw in the Edpuzzle video, that you can actually use your own videos. So you can record yourself and then pull those into Edpuzzle and ask comprehension questions. So this to me is the perfect asynchronous tool, right? So let's go ahead and take a look. Here's the Edpuzzle that I made during summer school. So let me just walk you through what Edpuzzle feels like from a student's point of view.
Don't break that, it's fragile. Dear Tim and Moby, how do I measure the volume of prisms? From Marta. Three-dimensional shapes like prisms can seem tricky to measure. And hard to draw. Not that difficult, really. Well, measuring the volume anyway. A prism is a solid with two parallel congruent bases. Their sides are parallelograms, and we name prisms by the shapes of their bases.
Okay, so at that point, I input a question, right? And let's say you choose this one. I select it, and then you can see you get that immediate feedback, right? And then you can press submit. And you can say, oh, look, I got the feedback right away. So students know, let's go ahead and continue the video. They can continue forward.
Let's start with a regular rectangular prism, also known as a cube. This cube has sides that are 10 centimeters long. Now, the formula for finding the volume of a prism is the area of the base times the height. Our base is a square, and the area of a square can be found by multiplying the length times the width. That's 10 centimeters times 10 centimeters, and that's 100 centimeters squared. Now we multiply the area of the base times the height of the prism and get 1,000 centimeters cubed, or 1,000 cubic centimeters.
Okay, and then let's say I answer this one, 5 centimeters, press submit. Oh, I got that one wrong. So notice it's giving immediate feedback to the student. So I'm not going to keep on going, but yeah, there we go with Edpuzzle. So you take your video and you start adding questions in, and you can even add notes, right? So sometimes I will add a note when I think that the video doesn't have the information that I want. I'll add a note in there. I can also upload pictures. So what I'll do a lot of times with math is once the video shows them how to do a problem, I'll include a diagram, a photo, a picture of a different problem that's similar that they can try on their own. So like I said, I started getting away from textbook homework. I started doing things like this where students can get some support, learn the concept, answer a question, learn a little bit more, answer a question. I think it's a lot more beneficial for students to get that type of feedback, right? So I have in my slide deck different videos that show you all the details about how you can create a class. It's very simple to open up your Edpuzzle account. It is a free account. Now the free account allows you to have up to 20 videos at a time. So you can kind of recycle them if you're going to need more than 20. If you need more than 20, you have to get the pro account. But I find that 20 is pretty good and I can assign them and then move on, right? And it does integrate with Canvas and Google Classroom and Schoology and a variety of other LMSs. When you want to go ahead and make your video, the 3 types of questions you can ask are multiple choice, open-ended, or you can add a note, right? And you can trim your videos. Sometimes the videos in YouTube, you know, they're too long or they have parts you don't want. You just trim it down to exactly what you want. And so it's pretty cool. When you want to assign it, I have video on each one of these slides. I have videos that you can watch at home about each one of these little parts of learning about Edpuzzle. But you just basically create it, and then when you're ready, assign it, choose a due date, and then I always choose prevent from skipping because I don't want my students to go all the way to the end. I want them to like do it in order, right? And the grade book is pretty cool too, right? So let me show you what my grade book looks like. Let me pull this up. It's like, here's my grade book from summer school. You can see, like, I can look at my students. I can see how many total minutes that they've spent with Edpuzzle, you know, which videos they've done, which ones they haven't done. So I can reach out to them and say, hey, you need to do your Edpuzzle. And then these scores, I do not need to physically manually type those into Google Classroom. Those same scores go directly into Google Classroom, go directly into Canvas, which is a huge time saver for me. And in terms of my grade book that I'm trying to manage on my LMS. To that stuff in that grade book, you can download it. If you want to download it as a CSV file, that's fine as well. So lots of great things that you guys can do with Edpuzzle. There's other resources here that I put here, and all of these ones up here that are underlined are links to other resources for you. Okay, moving on to our third formative assessment tool, which is Socrative. Now, Socrative has, again, free and paid versions. I only use the free version. We are going to do an activity But when you have the free version, you can only have up to 50 people in there. So the first 50 people, when we do it, you can just demonstrate for the audience. But 50 is fine for me because my classes are only like 38 students. So yeah. Let's take a look at Socrative. Okay. Okay, so let's see what we got here. So the free account gets you 50 students per room, and it's only going to allow you to do one activity at a time, which is fine. That's all I ever do in my class, right? And then there's all kinds of neat on the fly questioning tools, quizzes, space races. So let's go ahead and watch a little video introduction about Socrative.
Meet Socrative, your tool for fun and effective formative assessment. Socrative enables you to engage and assess students on any device and operating system during class. All the activities visualize student answers in real time and provide detailed reports for afterwards. Directly from your teacher dashboard, you can launch all types of assessments. Start a quiz, do a quick question or polling activity, play a fun space race game, or do an out-of-the-door exit ticket. Quick questions are perfect for no-prep activities. As students respond, the teacher can see in real time what the students are thinking, have a discussion of the results, or ask more quick questions. It's your choice. You can create your own assessments or share assessments with your colleagues and other Socrative users around the world. If you'd like, you can tag it with a common core or state standard. As students take the quiz, you'll see their graded responses populate in your live results table. Each column shows how the whole class is performing on that question. You can see which questions you need to go over with the class or decide how to group students for review based on their results. Run your quiz as an exciting space race to create a fun assessment game that students can play in groups or individually. Students love the friendly competition, and you'll still receive the graded report at the end. With Socrative Pro, you can set a countdown timer or upload your own race icon. You can manage multiple live activities simultaneously in 10 different rooms, create a room for each period, divide the class into smaller groups, or even have a homework room. In addition, you can add rosters and have up to 150 students in each room. With Socrative, visualizing student understanding has never been easier. Sign up today at Socrative.com.
All right, you guys. So you can see there's a lot of really cool things you can do with Socrative. Again, I use the free account, which works fine for me, 50 students in one room at a time. And so I just open activity and then go to the next activity. So let's go ahead. And when you're going to be, I need 50 of you because I only have the free account, to go up here and click on this student login. And when you go to the student login right here, that's a live link for you to come and join Socrative as a student. Again, I want to kind of demonstrate what it looks like when you're a student in Socrative. So if I could get 50 of you to click right here on the student login, and it's going to ask you for a room name. My room name is Morales 9096, right? So every time I do a Socrative activity, that's my name, Morales 9096. So go ahead and get in there and start taking a little quiz. It's a little geometry quiz. I don't care if you get stuff wrong, but I just want to show the participants what the dashboard looks like, right? So they are taking a quiz right now. Let's go ahead, and I can show the names or not show the names. So down here, if I don't want to show the names, I can close that off. So maybe you want to, when the students are synchronously doing this, maybe you want to have it up on your screen and you want to hide the names. You can choose to have the names on or off. Also, if you were doing this synchronously, you could also turn off the answers, not show the answers, because obviously you don't want to show the answers when students are taking the quiz. But this way you can start to see like, oh, okay, this person has 0, 75. Students see that you're paying attention, watching a live game. Now, if I keep the answers on, let's say I do this as an independent activity where students are at home doing this, it's maybe I set it for a homework assignment, then I do want to show the answers. So for me on my teacher dashboard, the ones that are coming in green, those are correct. And the ones that are coming in red, those are incorrect. And the ones here that are blue are as an open-ended question. Now, Socrative is not going to grade an open-ended question. Obviously, that's got to be graded by a human, but it depends on how you want to set up your quiz. So if you want it fully auto-graded, then just choose multiple choice true false questions, but you do have the option to put some open-ended questions in there if you want to see their work. Now, for people that are taking the quiz right now, they're getting immediate feedback. They're finding out if they got it right or wrong. And you can also include little messages that for when people get it wrong, a little message will come up that gives additional feedback. So you might try to predict where they could go wrong and provide that feedback. So it's pretty cool where I have my grade book and I could look at it. And if I wanted, I can say, okay, everyone finish up, and then take a look at it and launch another activity or do it again tomorrow, right? Pretty cool. And you get that information really fast. So again, like the other ones too, that will tell you which questions are doing well and which ones maybe need a little bit of work, right? So when you launch your own quiz, when you go into Socrative, you can launch these different types of activities. The people that were just in there, and what we just saw was a quiz. But like you saw in the video, there's the space race. If you do the space race, it's going to break your students randomly into even groups, and then they're going to compete as a team. And that's fun too. I've used these things in my class for years as different ways to access the curriculum that breaks up the cycle for students. One thing I know for sure when I'm teaching online in 2 weeks is I'm going to provide different activities. So it feels different to a student. So it's exciting and engaging. So you can give them a regular quiz. You can give them a space race, right? Or an exit ticket. Then they also have just on the fly questions. When you're regularly in class, how you kind of, put a question out there, you teach a little bit of content and then you say, okay, are you getting it? And students will talk back to you. Well, in an online environment, how can you do that? You can do it with Socrative. You can just verbally say a question during your live synchronous meeting in Google Meet or Zoom, and then set up a multiple choice response or a true false, or even like a stream of short answers that people give. So it gives you the flexibility to do it kind of on the spot as well, right? So different ways you can use Socrative. Now, as far as when the type of feedback you want to give students, you can give them instant feedback. And that's what the people that just took the quiz saw. They got immediate instant feedback after every question, right? You can decide to shuffle the question, shuffle the answer. You can show their final score. You can change it from one attempt to multiple attempts. It's all how you want to set it up. You can also do an open navigation. That's where they can kind of go to different questions out of order, or you could do it teacher paced and you control it and go to the next question. All those things are available with Socrative. The space race games are, again, really fun. They can play by themselves on their own, on their computer or on a phone, right? You can do it, share the link and they can play on the same team, but answering in separate computers, right? So it puts them into teams and gets them competing, which of course students love. Here's a little bit more about the quick questions that you can ask. Again, those are like, they're when you say it verbally to the class and you just, or have it, it's set up where they can respond quickly. Those are quick questions. Okay, so that was Socrative. And honestly, those 3 tools I use all the time in my class. That's why I spent so much time explaining them to you, because they really are simple to use and are simple or even auto-graded. So you get that data. Formative assessment should be a tool for you as a teacher to get a dipstick on how your students are doing so that you can respond with the appropriate intervention the next day in class. There are a couple other tools that I want to share with you guys. So let's take a look at just a couple more things. Edulastic. This is one I found out about last spring and I really liked it. Edulastic is like technology enhanced assessments. It integrates immediately into Google Classroom and Canvas. So if you're using that, you can take an assignment from Edulastic, push it into Google Classroom, and it'll auto grade for you in Google Classroom. So again, that's a great feature for teachers so that you can spend less time grading and more time figuring out where you need to intervene, right? They have lots of pre-made assessments, formative assessments, worksheets, homework, right? Their website looks like this. So I put the link up. Here's the link to Edulastic. All kinds of great stuff for them to try out. When you look at it, you can request a demo. You can take a look at how to use it to assess, instruct, measure student progress. They have a bunch, just like the other ones, they have a bunch of pre-built assessments that come from some really great teachers that you can adapt, edit, or create your own, right? And definitely a tool that I think you should consider, especially if you use Google Classroom or Canvas, because it integrates there immediately. Couple other ones here is assessments. Now, this is really more for math. It's kind of for math homework, but it takes some of the best resources from big name math projects like Engage New York or Illustrative Mathematics and gives them little homework assignments. I tried it last spring. I didn't like it quite as much as Edulastic, but it is a good one for you to check out, right? Let me continue here. I have some links here. Up here is 75 more digital tools and apps for formative assessment that you might want to try. The link to that. A lot of these I have used. Some of my favorite ones on here that I love is Flipgrid. I'm sure that's a whole nother session, but I love using Flipgrid. I believe Pear Deck on here, that's another one of my favorite tools, which takes a Google slideshow and turns it into a two-way conversation to let you into the minds of students, right? So, and Padlet is one I use a lot too. So here's more ideas for you guys at the end of the slideshow. Last but not least, at the bottom of my slideshow, I do a lot of presentations for CTA, for Q, for Google Summits. And if you like math, I got a lot of great math things in there. That's my teacher website with a lot of other great resources that you're free to check out, right? Okay, so what I'd like to do now is take a look at some of these questions in the chat. And Denise my neighbor was trying to call me there. So Marlene, did you see some questions as you were looking at the chat going through? What were people asking for? Because I can go through and read, right? Or, hang around for open questions.
You could. There are lots of questions about usage of the apps that you were mentioning, Quizlet, or how does it compare to Kahoots? And
okay,
there are plenty of technical questions about these applications. So, do you want to get into any of those?
Okay, well, I'll take a look. First of all, let's compare quizzes to Kahoots. Before I learned about quizzes, I used to play Kahoot. I like quizzes better for a few reasons. One, quizzes is student paced. Okay, so students go at their own speed, and then it scrambles all the questions for students. So even when you're playing in class and students are sitting next to each other, they're not getting the same questions at the same time. And I really like that because what I found when I would play Kahoot is everyone would just go red, and everybody would, rather than actually do the problem, they would just click whatever the group said, right? So I like quizzes for the fact that it's self-paced and I didn't need to auto-advance. Students could go at their own pace. I also like at the end of quizzes, when you play as a student, it shows all the problems and it shows if you got it right or wrong. So what I would tell my students that are my early finishers, and actually all my students, what they had to do for me when I was in my classroom is when they were done, get out a sheet of paper, and they only needed to do the problems on paper in full that they got wrong. So for me in a math classroom, that really motivated students to want to get them right. And it allowed them to see which ones they got wrong, right? So that was one thing that I would do. And the other thing with Kahoot is kids figured out how to use a bot, and my Kahoots were getting corrupted with bots. So I've never had that happen with quizzes. Yeah, someone just asked for the presentation again. There's the link, and everything I showed you is in the link. And I'm going to get that back up on the home screen here again, right here, this bit.ly / Morales formative, right? Edpuzzle does populate in Google Classroom, and that's one of the reasons why I loved it. Not only was it a fabulous tool to gauge asynchronous learning through video, it auto-graded for me. Now it auto-grades out of like a score out of 100%. So what I would do in my Google Classroom is I always made my assignments out of 10 points, and then I would go back and move the decimal place over. So it came into my Google Classroom as a score out of 100, but then it was real easy for me to just move the decimal place over. Now in Canvas, I started using it, and it auto populates in Canvas. I use that for summer school because my school switched to Canvas, and in Canvas it came in as 10 points, right? So all you have to do is connect your LMS to Edpuzzle, and then it auto populates in there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Edpuzzle, I think you can do with anything. And I don't know about PowerSchool, but I'm like 95% sure that Edpuzzle integrates with Schoology. Yeah. Kia. Yeah, I used to use Kia too. There's a lot of them. I just like quizzes because it's fun and kids love the memes. They love the power-ups. It just makes, doing the problems a little more fun. Yeah.
A couple of people asked what bots are, BOTS. What are they?
Oh, no. Okay. So bots are programs that come in like as a robot into your program and put a bunch of random names in your Kahoot and starts like infiltrating your Kahoot. So now you don't just have your 30 students, you got like 60 of them in there and they're taking over the game. But so far I've been playing quizzes for quite a while and nobody's figured out how to do that for quiz. So that's good. Yeah. Clever. Oh, nice comments. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for your nice comments. I really appreciate that. All of these tools, I use the free version. Quizzes is totally free. I use the Edpuzzle free version, which gets you up to 20 videos. Socrative, I use the free version, the one room's enough. I mean, teachers, we got to learn how to get creative on a shoestring, right? So I love all of that. Now with Clever, my district uses Clever too, but I don't have them go through Clever. I just put my links directly in Google Classroom. My students know to go to Google Classroom. They just click on it right there, right? In Canvas, same thing. And in those two tools in particular with quizzes, the quizzes goes directly in there. So you don't even need to go to Clever. Yeah.
Kristen, several people are interested in how you created your virtual classroom background.
Oh, the Bitmoji. I don't know if you guys have like seen this around, but it's like it's all the craze right now. Like since the spring, I've been in 4 virtual conferences and I've seen a lot of people present on it. If you actually just like Google search Bitmoji Classroom, people are blogging about it right now. It's all the craze. You basically just take a Google slideshow and your Bitmoji. So the Bitmoji, that little cartoon character of me, you set that up, that usually gets set up as a feature of Snapchat. And you can get Bitmoji for Chrome. Okay, so you create your little Bitmoji cartoon character avatar, and then you put it in a classroom. So if you search up things like backgrounds with walls and floors, but I actually think if you just search up Bitmoji Classroom, you'll see a ton of people are blogging about it. And the way they get those, like the chair in there, there's a program called Remove Background. So you go into Google, you find a picture of a office chair, and then you take that and you put it into Remove Background, and it takes the background out so that you can put that in your Bitmoji Classroom. I know they're super fun and a lot of people are doing it right now. But I don't have like resources like immediately available to share with you, but they're everywhere online right now. I can still use my Bitmoji. Oh yeah, you can use Bitmoji without Snapchat. Can you guys see my whole screen right here? Do you see this little Bitmoji icon? I've installed Bitmoji for Chrome. So now in my presentations, I include my Bitmoji. So for example, if I go down to my last slide, where it says thank you, there's my Bitmoji. So Bitmoji for Chrome is a great way to kind of spice up your own slideshow presentations, and you can have students create their own Bitmoji and put it into their slideshow. So there's a lot of fun activities where you could have students create their, dream classroom, or have them just insert themselves into their Google slideshows. So yeah, I know, I love it, love it, love it.
Okay, do we have a few more minutes for questions. Are you open for more questions?
Sure. I mean, it looks like, it looks like a lot of people are thanking me, and you got what they needed. I'm going to put the link to my slideshow. I mean, they can feel free to use everything in my slideshow. I hope that you try it out. And if you do something cool in your class, tag me on Twitter so that I can see what you're going to do, because I would love to see how you take this and run with it in your classroom.
Are you also going to put your presentation in the Eventbrite folder?
Oh, I think Adam already did that. I think all of the CTA resources, it's my understanding when you go to bit.ly/distance launch, that all of the resources, so Adam's putting it all there. So I believe that's bit.ly/distance launch. I'm typing it right now and I put it in the chat. So he's taking care of that. And then right now, once we're done and he processes the recordings will be there too.
I believe that the chats are also recorded, and there is so much information being shared in the chats that we could also put the chat into your Bitly folder, so that people can go back and access the all of the information and sharing from people who have used some of these apps.
Yeah, I know this is how teachers roll, right? We just help each other out. And I love a great webinar where we have a great chat room where people are throwing ideas out there. It just adds to the whole experience. And thank you so much for all of you who shared your thoughts in the chat as well.
Okay, do you want to stick around after this webinar to see if there might be some residual questions?
I think, if they want to, send me a message on Twitter, that's fine. But I want to be very respectful of everyone's time, for the hour. And they have all the resources. I moved my slideshow back in. Yeah. I'm so glad you guys could all be here today.
Well, with almost 900 people showing up, this has been great, and all of the participants have been wonderful in sharing their comments on using the products, and I hope that you were not overwhelmed, but you are inspired by the use of the apps and the explanation. So, Kristen, thank you very much, and we hope to see you again on future webinars, and if you could demonstrate some other tools for our members to use. So, thanks again, everyone, for your time, and we will. Can you show the last slide that you have on our future webinars?
Oh yeah, the one with my other resources.
The
The future webinars. Yeah, let me get that up. So tomorrow, this is what's happening. Do you want to tell them what's going on for the rest of the week?
Well, tomorrow is, we're running webinars Monday through Thursday. So this is about social emotional learning. The two presenters will be talking about social emotional learning in a virtual environment, one at the elementary level and one at the secondary. Oh no, this is just one for everyone. You can also register for week 2, in which we will take the virtual learning process into other areas like the culturally relevant pedagogy and support in a collaborative way, how it might be, how you might see it in an elementary and secondary levels. ELD and special needs students are another area that may be challenging in our virtual environment. So we do have some presenters that will talk about how they're integrating the ELD focus and special needs focus. I should make sure that we have, yes, special education on Thursday. So that's what our week 2 looks like. So tomorrow, well, Barry Roth is our presenter for the secondary level. And then we have 2 presenters for the elementary level coming from the Sacramento County Office of Education.
Awesome. Well, thanks for showing up. I wish everybody a great start of school year. I know it's different, but you know what? Awesome teachers are awesome no matter where they teach. So I am confident that all of you guys are going to have a great year and continue being awesome.
And thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Okay. Thank you.